call upon the first speaker of today. But before calling him on the stage, let me call his evaluator, Toastmaster Anisha, on the podium to read out the speech objective of Toastmaster Mukti. Toastmaster Anisha, welcome to the podium.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day, Toastmaster Angira, and our speaker for today, Toastmaster Mukti. He is giving his, so the purpose, he's giving his level 5 project. So the project name is Lead in Any Situation. So the purpose of this project is for the member to apply the skills needed to successfully lead in a volunteer or an organization. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share some aspect of his or her experience as a leader and or the impact of the 360-degree evaluation. The member will deliver a speech to reflect on his or her experience as a leader or the impact of the 360-degree evaluation. The speech that we will be evaluating may be humorous, informational, or any other style that the member chooses, but it must be appropriate for the content. The speech is not a report on the content Lead in Any Situation as a project. So I wish all the best to the speaker, and I would request the speaker to share the 360-degree evaluation so that we can correlate, and all the best to the speaker, handing it back to the Toastmaster of the Day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, dear Manisha, for beautifully explaining the speech objective. Now, let me call on the stage Toastmaster Mukti to deliver his level 5 Lead in Any Situation speech. Toastmaster Mukti, the stage is all yours.
A report by National Center of Biotechnology Information read that in 2011, 410,000 people died of cancer, and that around close to 6 lakh would in 2020. I read that report and it was saddening. Another report by World Health Organization says that 1 in every 15 Indian would die out of cancer. That is even saddening report. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests. I would like to ask you, what do you think are the biggest causes of cancer? A show of hands, would you like to participate?
Genetics.
Okay.
Smoking.
Any other reasons?
Exposure to radiations like UV rays or gamma rays, something like that.
Improper hygiene and diet.
Okay, very interesting. So, after being saddened by this report, I too researched and dived into reasons that cause cancer. And as we came to some conclusions, so did I. Now, the biggest problem about cancer is that it is not a nuclear weapon or a meteorite coming from the sky, but it will kill so many of us. It might be disguised as a delicious breakfast on a table, but actually be only some harmful chemical pesticides and fertilizers. It might be some awesome buildings in the city, some really great skyscrapers, only disguised. Actually, they are jungles of carcinogenic concrete, disguised in the form of development, 3G, 4G, 5G towers, but only actually be the ecocide of nature that can never be reversed. Understanding all this, I decided to take up a war against cancer. And a method to do that I found was to join an NGO working to promote organic farming and organic products. Why was this method chosen? Because I know for sure that I wasn't educated enough to cure cancer, and anyways, precaution is better than cure. How did this start? It started with a crash course, a 1 week long crash course, but not like some other tuition classes. This was not about a, a course at the weekend or something you do at the evenings. I actually had to go and stay at a village. It was divided into modules. Each day was divided into sessions. Early morning was dedicated to learning, practically learning farming techniques and ways to make natural fertilizers and pesticides that could replace the chemical ones and also increase the farmer's income. The mid the afternoons were dedicated to learning to create products naturally, such as toothpaste, soap, shampoo, daily use products, which use too many chemicals and cause too much cancer. The evening was spent discussing the the economics of agriculture and animal husbandry to help farmers improve their income. After that, late evening was spent going out to other villages, campaigning and spreading the word to unknown places, unknown villages, unknown people, asking them to join our mission. After this course was over, seeing my enthusiasm, seeing that I belong to urban India, and seeing my age, I was selected for the working committee of the NGO. Mind you, I was only selected and not elected, which meant that I had to really be compliant to the people selecting me. At this job, no 2 days were same. Someday, I was having a meeting with the secretary of a department of a central ministry discussing or taking help about how government schemes could be used to take forward the mission. The other day, pitching to some CSR executive why he or she should invest in our project. Sometimes meeting with technology teams, trying to explain the platform that would help bring transparency among donors and farmers. But most of the time was spent in villages by cycling to and fro here and there, teaching farmers how they could eradicate unemployment for themselves on one hand, and the same thing would end cancer in the cities. It was good going. 6 months flew very fast, and so did the next three. It was 9 months of work till something began to dawn on me. I actually was selling a product I had never used. The brutal truth was that I had never been a farmer. I had never harvested a single cropping season, which meant that I depended on statistics to understand the quality of my product. Hopefully, this was not great enough. And these statistics were also seen by other members of the organization. And after seeing these statistics, they decided that the organization should pivot into rainwater harvesting. And I was so saddened that I decided to give up volunteering for NGOs for some months. But this was truly a great experience where several skills had to be combined. Communication, and communication across different type of people, across different type of languages. Technology, learning technology for the purpose on the go. Networking, building network, asking for numbers of people and then contacting them. On the other hand, contacting with local people. Thank you everyone for listening to me, and back to Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Mukti, for such an informative speech. Although you haven't used any ISOM slides, but you were capable of portraying the story.
Moving ahead with the evaluation, I would first like to call upon the evaluator of our first speaker, Toastmaster Mukti, Toastmaster Anisha, to please go ahead and evaluate.
Thank you so much, Madam General Evaluator, and very warm welcome and good evening to each and everyone present in the session today. Our target speaker, Toastmaster Mukti, was delivering his level 5 speech. Toastmaster Mukti, thank you so much for making an attempt. We will cover the evaluation in mainly 3 sections, which is the recommendations, the commendations, the recommendations, and finally the summary. To start on with the commendations, I would say Toastmaster Mukti has a very good voice modulation, which was very vital during the initial phases of the project. So great work done there, Toastmaster Mukti. Next is you had a great audience interaction as well, and you took time to listen to each and everyone and also respond back to them. Also, you took the feedback from only 3 people, which is great, which shows you had a good control over the audience. Great hand gestures. I saw that you did some hand gestures when you were signifying meteorites and all of those things. Great job done there. The why, how, and when is something that we also saw throughout your speech, which is why you joined the organization, how you did the work, and the description in general. Great job done there. I like that you had a very nice description of the entire workday schedule for that particular organization that you had joined, and it made everyone easy for everyone to understand how the workflow was. Okay. I also liked a part which you mentioned, which is selected, not elected. I would have wanted you to delve a little deeper into it, but I think you can take an attempt again in that particular section, like that about the speech, that you added it into the speech. I also like that you left the speech at a positive note, and you had a call to action around there. We will get back to that, how we can work on that even more. So great job done there. Now, coming to the recommendations, the first thing that comes to mind is your body language. Now, although I said you had good hand gestures, but your body language is not, it's not fitting the speech. I'll tell you why, because it's a very serious speech. So it would be great if you can have like a standing posture. I'm not saying that you have to have a standing posture, but in speeches like this, if you have a standing posture, if your body is fully visible up till this much at least, so you can make use of the hand gestures that you already have. So you might want to take that in account and might not want to sit or deliver your speech in this way. Another thing is that your voice modulation, although was good, but it was flat throughout the speech. So you might want to work on that a little bit more. I also want to bring to notice that since this project was about leading a particular organization, we did have a little bit of that throughout your speech, right? So we did understand that you you were not selected, you were not elected but selected, and you did so and so throughout while working in the organization. But what lacks, I feel, in the entire understanding is that when you are giving examples of how you would go and how you would negotiate for a CSR or for a product pitch, you need to highlight those leadership qualities more when you are in this particular speech. So you could talk about what were the CSR opportunities that you were pitching for, or what was the product, what impact would it have. So those are the things that we are looking for when we are looking at you leading an organization. You understand? We do understand the entire functioning of the organization and what everyone did, but the direct impact of how many people were being affected, who were the people that you were trying to reach out to, what level or what income group they were from, or exactly those details or those nitty-gritties are something that you can add on in this speech. I also wanted to bring to notice that you had 8 to 10 minutes. So in that section, why don't you put a little short story? I'm sure you have had a lot of interaction with people in that particular area. So put in a little bit of short story which changed your viewpoint. Say, for example, like you said, that you were relying on the statistics and not a farmer yourself. So you must have understood that from a story or an interaction. So put that in. That also shows your leadership quality, right? The other thing that I want to highlight is that your speech title was a failed attempt to kill cancer. Now, I'm not sure if this was put right before your speech, but when we are talking about something that already has a very morbid tone to it, right? Like cancer, like anything for that matter. What we can do is, you are giving a speech on leading an organization. So we always look at that with optimism. So if at all, if I was not your evaluator, I was someone general in the audience, and I would see a failed attempt to kill cancer, I would not be very motivated, right? Because it has failed, it has killed, it has cancer. So 3 of the words are very, very heavy words. So what you can put as your title is my take on this, or something which is a little bit more optimistic, because although you might not have had the best experience, or you might not have been able to continue on the organization, but you were leading the organization, you were organizing all of those meetings that you talked about, you were in a way reaching out to so many people. So why not put in more optimism in that title? Right now, why not make it something that everyone can learn from, that even if you don't have the best end to something, you had a great start to it, you did something that you feel confident about. So put that in your title. And a title is very, very important, coming from especially in these kind of speeches where you're leading, where you're talking about your leadership experience. So put that in. And I also feel, right, okay, so I also feel that there was something I would have wanted to know more, since this was related to reaching out to people, is a lot more statistics. So you might want to back your speech up with a presentation, or just put in just one image if possible. Or probably, what you can do is, since you are talking about different products, I'm sure if you have a few at home, so you could just put on that as props, because when you're leading an organization, or when you're talking about being in such an integral part of an organization, you want to have props, you want to have backups, or you want to have points backing up that particular aspect. So put that in. Although I feel that it's better that you repeat the speech with this particular evaluations points that I have given. Your speech was great, but there are a lot of things that you can add, and you are already a good speaker. So why not put that in? And probably you might want to redo the speech and give it once again with a little bit more, formal attire, or like standing up. Those small things matter a lot. And you will also feel that there's a change in your performance overall. So I have spoken a lot. I hope it has positively, I hope you take all the evaluations in a positive way, and you can repeat the speech. So I hand it back to the general evaluator. Thank you, everyone, once again.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Nisha. Very, very wonderful and a detailed evaluation. So before evaluating the speaker, I would just have very quick points for Toastmaster Nisha. I really loved how you described and went on to describe why were your recommendations what they were, so that the speaker, since it's a level 5 speech, which is a very advanced stage in a Toastmaster journey, you gave him ample of points to understand why you gave him what the purposes were. So I really, really love that you did not actually make the time your importance, but explaining the person. So I really love that. I love the points. I think the summary could have been a little better. Wrapping it up. Apart from that, I love the evaluation. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Anisha. And now we have our speaker, Toastmaster Mukti. Commendations, I really loved the factual points that you have right in the starting. I think around for 45 seconds to 1 minute, you gave us quite a lot of facts about cancer, which was really commendable. Loved it. It was interactive. Questions were asked, answers were given. Really nice. Kudos to you on that. It was motivational, and it was something about a noble cause, all of which we are familiar with. So kudos. And last, I think the narrative style was very, very nice. What was your journey? So I think that was really well done. Now a few recommendations from my point as well. I do agree with Toastmaster Nisha that voice modulation could have been like a star of your speech. You have such highs and lows in your speech, right? So I think that could have been done really wonderfully, because it was sounding a little bland, even with your statistical figures. 4 people die every year of cancer. If you just stress on it a little, so that we all know that that is the point you want us to catch. So probably voice modulation. And one more thing, there was quite a lot of pauses in the middle, unnecessary small pauses. And because of that, the entire speech was not very smooth. So I would just tell you to practice it a few times so that it becomes very smooth. I think body posture, as Toastmaster Nisha said, could be a little better. You were just dawdling sometimes. So if you could be just straight, even I am sitting and giving an evaluation, but just being sit up straight and using your hands. So I think that would have been done a little better. And last but not the least, again, I would like to say that the purpose of this particular speech, which was how you lead in voluntary organization. I'd just like to read out the second point of your purpose statement. The purpose of the speech is for the member to share some aspects of his or her experience as a leader, right? So after 7 minutes of your speech, you started becoming a leader. You told us that, yes, I started leading the organization. So probably some positives that you learned from this leadership, some negatives. What were your lessons from this leadership? I think that would have been a much wholesome speech, right? So my recommendation to you would be simply to go ahead, restructure your speech a little. It does need a little restructuring, and give it again with full force. And I'm sure it'll be a wonderful, wonderful speech next time. Thank you so much, Toastmaster Mukti.
Let me introduce our second speaker for today, but before calling him on the podium, let me call his evaluator, Toastmaster Siddharth, on the podium to read out his speech objective. Toastmaster Siddharth.
A very warm good evening to all the Toastmasters and guests, and Toastmaster Shubhranil Patnaik in particular. The target speaker, Shubhranil, will be delivering his Level 1 Project 2 speech. The purpose of this project is to learn or review basic methods of writing a speech with a defined purpose and to present a well-organized speech on any topic. Timer, please note that the timing of the speech is 5 to 7 minutes. I wish the target speaker, Toastmaster Shubhranil, all the best, and back to you, Toastmaster of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Siddharth. Now, I would like to welcome Toastmaster Shubhranil on the podium to deliver his Level 1 Project 2 speech. Toastmaster Shubhranil, the podium is all yours.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day, for the warm welcome. It was about a year back. It was the time of the pandemic, and I was really bored staying at home. Work, sleep, work, sleep. This continued for a very long time. Until one day, I got an opportunity to visit a place called Ghatshila, which is a small town in the state of Jharkhand. It's a beautiful place to be. And I've gone there with my family. It wasn't a very memorable tour for me. However, there was this one incident that has stuck with me ever since. We were going to a place called Dharagiri Falls. And it's a beautiful place. The falls are beautiful. And on our way through the muddy trails, we noticed 5 kids. They were begging us for money. Initially, it didn't strike me as very out of the place. However, I noticed that there was this one kid who had constructed a makeshift bridge across a tunnel that was dug by the government. And he was asking me for money because of the work he had done, not just for free. Noticing this, I got into a lot of thought about like, how can this person have such a developed state of mind? He was actually so entrepreneurship in his mindset. He had actually worked to ask me for money, unlike the other 4 kids. However, at the same time, another thing came in my mind. It was the time of the pandemic. How were they making their ends meet? What was the source of income? I was shivering at the thought of how would they make their ends meet just by doing what they were doing, namely roaming around the streets. I also thought that probably their parents might have not sent them to school. Probably there weren't any in the first place. Today, a statistic says that in 2014, 53% of juveniles arrested were either illiterate or were only educated till the primary level. Thus, the impact of lack of education is not just confined to a single person. The society at large pays. In our childhood, we learn very critical skills. Skills like sharing with others, making friends, following instructions. And education plays a really critical role in making us successful later in life. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, Toastmaster of the day, and guests. Today, I'm going to give you a bit of idea about how the pandemic has struck each and every one of us, and especially the marginalized sections of the society, and what we as responsible citizens can do to make it slightly better for them. I'm sure all of us here present today have been lucky enough to have gotten education. Maybe we went to one of the best schools in the city, in the country. And that is precisely why it is difficult for us to put ourselves in the shoes of those who haven't. When we come across kids who haven't had that opportunity, it strikes us as to how lucky we have been. Having said that, I think once or twice while walking through the roads, we might have sympathized with that family that was stuck in the roadside in the bitter cold because they didn't have a place to live in. And I think that is really important for us to realize that not all of us are lucky as we are. A study by the NSSO group provides an astonishing result. In a study done across 1,400 underprivileged children across 15 states in India, shows that a kid who was in grade 3 before the start of the pandemic is in grade 5 now, and is soon going to enter middle school, but with the reading ability of a grade 1 kid. Girls are especially affected by this, as it is they are struggling with other factors like child marriages and other things in society. In the pandemic, the family income has gone down. And when the family income goes down, the girls are the first ones to be pulled out of school. There is a shocking statistic as well. During the pandemic, 38% of families in India have said that at least one person from their family had to drop school completely because of the pandemic. It makes me think about what this particular COVID has done to all of us, and especially these marginalized sections of society. The NGOs are also not, has also not been left of the impact. Earlier, a lot of the donations from the CSR used to go to these smaller NGOs. But during the and post the pandemic, a maximum of this donations, CSR donations, went to the PM CARES Fund. Thus, the smaller NGOs couldn't make their ends meet. Let me give an example. A particular NGO called SOS Children's Village India takes care of 10,000 children. And these children are not normal children. They have a traumatized background. They are vulnerable. And unlike normal families where they could cut costs to meet and make ends meet, these NGOs cannot do so. So this brings me to the last part where we actually look into ourselves and our society at large and decide what we as individuals can do to make it better for them. No, I'm not asking you for any monetary contribution, though that is good if you can do that. But what I'm asking of you is, if you have some free time, spend some time to volunteer for these NGOs who would be happy to have you. Spend an hour or so in their feet, in their shoes, and see how it feels to spend a day during these tough pandemic times. And I think it is a responsibility for all of us to do what we can from our position to help them out. I would like to end with a beautiful quote by Anthony Horowitz, the novelist, who says, "Childhood, after all, is the first precious coin that poverty steals from a child." Thank you, and over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Subranil, for such a touching story. I did not felt that it is your second prepared speech, actually.
Next up, we have Toastmaster Siddharth Rathi, who is going to be evaluating our wonderful second speaker, Toastmaster Shubhranil. Sir, the stage is all yours.
A very good evening to all the Toastmasters and to my target speaker, Toastmaster Shubhranil in particular. I would like to quote a very famous philosopher, Aristotle. He said that poverty is the parent of revolution and crime. And your speech did make us realize that yes, indeed, this statement is true. You had a bang on start. You started telling us that how you went to the Hagiri Hills with your family, and there you encountered kids which were begging for money, and how that encounter changed your life and your perspective towards the society. Moving ahead, I like that your speech was extremely well researched. Every once in a while, every 30 seconds, every 20 seconds, your speech, whatever statement you made, was supported by factual claims. 60% this much, everything was perfectly done, well researched. Kudos to you on that. Moreover, you had appropriate hand gestures. Every time you were speaking, you had right hand gestures going simultaneously with your speech. I really enjoyed that. And the third part, which I really loved about your speech, that you delivered your message, and it had a nice message and a nice ending to go with it. It is important that we stick towards optimism, as our first evaluator and general evaluator has stated early in them, that having a positive outlook towards things makes us as human beings much more confident and comfortable. Now, I'm pretty sure that you as a speaker, you as a human being would like to take your speech to the next level and are here for betterment. And you can do those things by following a few recommendations, which I think can be implemented in your speech the next time you are on stage. The first thing is that your speech had a very good start and the ending was good. But in the middle part of the speech, you seem to rush. It is try to understand that we are in an online medium. And in an online medium, due to network glitches or any reasons, someone may have an issue listening to what you are saying because your speed was very high. Yes. The second thing which you can work on is having a good vocal variety. Yes. You can say something like this: "My heart trembled when I saw little kids begging for money. In this pandemic, how will they make their ends meet?" Something like this. This will add a lot of value to your speech. Moreover, the salutation which you had given, "Good evening, Toastmasters," and others, that came very later. Means you can try having the salutation within 30 seconds of your speech. That would be great. To sum it up, I would say that you had an awesome speech where you told us how poverty can influence here the entire is an evil of not only India but also the society in general, how pandemic has badly hit our lives. And if you are able to keep in mind the recommendation, I'm pretty sure that you will become a next level speaker. Kudos to you on that. Thank you. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Siddharth. That was a wonderful, wonderful evaluation. A very seasoned evaluation, I might just say. Wonderful commendations, brilliant recommendations, and a wonderful summary. I think you hesitated or you quickly wrapped it up because you saw the red card. So a clean summary with a motivational ending so that you can, you can go ahead and try to better. So I think that could have been added. But apart from that, I love the evaluation. Keep coming and keep doing. Since we do not have Toastmaster Shubhran here, I would refrain from giving his evaluation, what I think about that. Okay, before my last closing address as a president, which is definitely something that wouldn't come this soon. I thought it'll be much longer, but good things do pass by quickly. So, yes, before going ahead and doing all my rituals in the last, I would just like to say thank you to all my EC members who are present here and who are not present here, Toastmaster Tanushri, Toastmaster Shruti, Toastmaster Radhika who are present here, for making this a wonderful term that it was. The entire elite fraternity will always be grateful to all the EC members who have come, who are currently here and who will be coming. So thank you so much, everybody. And it's been a wonderful journey being a president. And I hope that most of you, some of you, all of you get to experience this once in a lifetime, because it is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So thank you so much, everybody, for being so supportive. All the new members, all the old members, most of us who couldn't be here, but it's been a joyride for me with so many ups and so many downs that it has taught me and all of us so many things. So I am most grateful to my EC for standing by this obnoxious girl who's standing before you. And hopefully one day we can all laugh it off with all the things that has gone by. And thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. That brings me to the end of our 199th chapter meeting of Elite Toastmasters Club, the last meeting for our executive committee, because from the next, which is the 1st of January, Saturday, we will have the new executive committee coming in. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for being a part of this wonderful journey, for being here today in this wonderful, wonderful session that we just had. See you next time and next week. And yeah, thank you so much for being here. Thank you.